test of a media house lies in its response to a big breaking story. Live images and storytelling that would be etched into the memories of a billion. The 100-hour coverage of 26/11 transformed Indian journalism forever.
I remember exactly how things actually began to develop. Come out of NewsHour on the 26th. It was the middle of the week. We had a big political debate that day on the NewsHour, and it's been a very newsy week, and I was a bit tired. But there was a developing story, and it was actually flashing on our ticker that there had been shots heard. It was the kind of developing story that doesn't allow you to leave the news desk once you hear about it. I think it was about 12 past 10. I got a phone call from this lady who said that there had been a terrorist attack at the Trident. And I wasn't quite sure how much to believe it, because this was not a journalist who was calling me. But she seemed so sure that it was actually scary. I told her that I was also getting my own reports, but my reports was that there was one person who had started shooting somewhere at the Leopold or somewhere at VT and was constantly on the shooting spree walking towards Leopold, and hence there was a lot of commotion. Because initially people thought there's one person who was going berserk with guns. It was only that lady who told me there was a terrorist attack. It was around that time that I told my news desk, we have to go live on this story. We have a situation on our hands.
So immediately I picked up my unit. I rushed to the spot location where once I landed here, I could see this whole stretch. Usually it's traffic place, but on that day particularly it's a deserted look. This is the most terrifying and saddest incident which I covered in my career.
जल्दी में काफ़ी लोग बैठ गए, काफ़ी लोगों को गोली लगी और मैं डर गया। अचानक से मैं अपना कैमरा लेके बैठ गया नीचे। फिर मैं जैसे बैठा मैंने देखा कि एक दूसरा कैमरा पर्सन है ETV का, उसके हाथ में गोली लगी। मैंने उसको बताया तेरे हाथ में से खून निकल रहा है, वो भी अचानक से डर गया। फिर मैंने देखा कि काफ़ी लोगों को गोली लगी, वहाँ पे सड़क पे एकदम खून हो गया है।
Latest reports coming in is that the chief of the anti-terror squad, Hemant Karkare, has been injured. We don't know what the extent of that injury is. He's been injured in one of those attacks.
I got a call from a friend of mine who works in a newspaper. She was howling in pain over the phone, and she told me that Mr. Hemant Karkare and Vijay Salaskar were dead.
He had three bullet wounds directly on his chest. And he laid down his life in the service of this country. But what was impossible to reconcile was the fact that we were getting the pictures of Mr. Hemant Karkare going in with his security vest, his bulletproof vest, which we thought was bulletproof, with his helmet, revolver in his right hand, walking in front of all the media. We thought that this was a situation, and as we always see it in all situations, the terrorists are holed in, the security forces reach, there are a few casualties, some people are hurt, but the security forces always win. It's always been like a predictable turn of events. So it really shook us up when we heard that Karkare had been shot and Karkare had died. And the first time I got information confirmed that Mr. Karkare had died, in fact, a part of me did not want to put the news out. I remember telling my reporter, double check it, triple check this news. Are you absolutely sure? Because even I could not believe that this incident had actually happened. It was happening too fast at that point in time. We really didn't know. It was all becoming one quick blur, one event after the other, one location after the other. We have a description of the terrorists for the first time here on Times Now. They are between 20 and 22 years old. They're wearing t-shirts and jeans. They rented the restaurant of the Trident Hotel. They had machine guns. Some reports are of AK-47. And when they entered the restaurant, the first thing they said, they want only American and British nationals in their custody. 15 were apparently taken into custody in some form. We don't know if this is a hostage situation that is still carrying on. But what we do know is that some of them escaped and they gave an eyewitness account of what was happening.
Did you see them?
Of course.
How did they look like?
What did they say?
I saw many bodies on 16 or 17 and 18.
And while all of this was happening around us, a person in his late 30s, if I remember correctly, approached us. His sister and his brother-in-law were inside Hotel Oberoi, and he had been trying to get through to them all night, but he wasn't able to reach them. So he shared the number with us, and my colleague used his phone to dial that number. On the other side, the phone rang. On the other side, the person who picked up, he had a very heavy voice and a clear accent. And when my colleague asked for the owner of that phone, after a sinister laugh, he said, "Wo to Allah ko pyari ho gayi."
I will never forget the first shot that we got was not of the dome burning, but a fire behind the dome. And the fire behind the dome was providing, there was this sort of orange, yellow silhouette behind the dome of the Taj. We thought there had been an explosion behind the Taj. We couldn't even believe or fathom that it was the dome itself that was about to burn, and it just happened in the next 15 minutes. So seeing that shot, and I remember our producer saying, "We are not moving away from this location. There is something happening here." And I said, "Let's stay with this story." We had our reporters on the spot telling us what happened, but even they had no idea.
Well, right now, Arnab, the security personnel here outside have asked us all to lie very, very low. There has been some movement. The commandos, the last time around that we saw outside the front entrance of the Taj building, have moved in closer. They've moved towards the old heritage building of the Taj complex.
हेली आ गया हमारे ऊपर हेली आ गया कितना के ऊपर लगाओ मेरे को लगाओ
Once the NSG started the operation, that's when we really faced what I would say is a major editorial dilemma. How do we carry this story forward? Do we show the pictures live, or do we defer the telecast? The first response of a journalist who's following a story is cover everything live, give every bit of detail, because we have to cover the story. It is for the government and the security forces to take care of the consequences. And I guess that's the call that some channels took. For us, however, we decided at that point of time, and it wasn't a difficult choice for us to make, we simply decided that it's better to defer the telecast. And we repeatedly instructed all our reporters, and I must say, our reporters did an absolutely admirable job.
I started reporting from Nariman House early in the morning on 27th. The next day at around 9:30 in the morning, I saw a chopper circling over Nariman House and then commandos slithering down. Even at that point of time, we knew that giving operational details live on TV would not be correct. We did not report exactly what was happening there. There were some scary moments, particularly once when a terrorist threw a grenade very close to the place where we were standing. The gun battle got over only late in the evening.
पूरी रात हम लोग रात भर लाइव करते रहे। थोड़ा सा अर्ली मॉर्निंग 4-5 बजे थोड़ा ठंडा था माहौल, लेकिन अचानक सडनली 5-5:30 के बाद थोड़ा सा गोलियों की आवाज़ ज़्यादा आने लगी, थोड़े से धमाके होने लगे, तो हम लोग थोड़ा अलर्ट हो गए। फिर सडनली मैंने देखा कि एक थोड़ा सा उजाला हो गया था सुबह। सडनली मैंने देखा कि एक विंडो को बहुत से एनएसजी कमांडोज स्नाइपर्स ने उसकी जब पॉइंट करके वो लोग खड़े थे, तो मुझे लगा कि विंडो में जरूर कुछ मूवमेंट हो, अंदर भी आवाज़ें आ रही थी। तो मैंने अपना कैमरा उस तरफ जूम किया और उस विंडो पे लॉक कर दिया, और सडनली मैंने देखा कि एक एनएसजी कमांडो आता है, आया, उसने एक बॉडी को बाहर फेंका टेररिस्ट के। तो मैंने तुरंत अपनी रिपोर्टर दीप्ति जी उसको चिल्लाया, दीप्ति देखो कोई बॉडी बाहर गिरी है, और तुरंत हमारे ऑफिस का अपडेट किया। पीसीआर में अनुपम बैठे थे, उनको उन्होंने भी देखा और उन्होंने भी मतलब वो शॉट देखा और उन्होंने भी तुरंत उसको एयर पे डाला।
When that body was thrown out of the window, and we showed that picture again and again, it was like a purging. It was like a catharsis for a lot of people, including me. But the anger had really reached an absolute threshold. We were so relieved that it was over, but we were so traumatized by what had happened, and people were so angry. So when we ask now, or look back at this entire incident, we know that this incident is neither forgiven nor ever forgotten. But the emotions did take over, especially when the cremation happened and we were reporting and relaying non-stop. And there are those moments, in broadcasting when you have no words to say, and when the best of words will not express what you feel. And I think at one point of time we just decided to be silent. And that was after 26/11. I think when the body of Major Sandeep Unnikrishnan was laid out there, we had a few other cremations also happening in Delhi. I think at times now we decided it's better to say nothing, but to internalize at that point of time what was a national sorrow. And we were part of that sorrow. We were part of that grief. We felt that anger. We feel it even today. It will never be forgotten. Neither will it be forgiven. And one only hopes that this episode, never in any form or magnitude, is ever repeated again. Because this is the last story that one would ever want to tell.
The nation prayed for his survival.
Right now, the crowds are just wanting, as they know that the moment is coming close where the boy would finally be coming out. I could just see people jostling in the crowd to have a view. Even where the media presence is there, people are just coming in, and the police and the authorities are having a tough time controlling the crowds who just want to be a part of this moment to see the boy finally out of that ordeal.
Little Prince, then 4 years old, would become India's biggest breaking news subject.
See, I'll ask the cameraman to pan towards the mother. She is now doing her last bit of prayers before she finally sees the face of the little one. I just saw some group of youngsters standing with a bright orange color poster saying Happy Birthday Prince. As I told you, today was his birthday and he turned 5.
50 hours later, he would be rescued.
This is the moment. The boy is coming out, as we can see it on our screens. The boy is finally coming out. There he is, as you can see him. You can hear the screams of the people. This is indeed a moment which is worth reckoning with, a miracle indeed.
His story would be India's story.
बड़ा अच्छा लग रहा है, बड़ी खुशी हो रही है.
In the last 10 years, investigative reporting on your channel has shaken many establishments.
Could you please answer our question, sir? Could you please answer our question, sir? Sir, why aren't you answering our question, sir? Hey, हाथ मत लगा. After waiting outside Major General T.K. Kaul's office for almost an hour, he finally surfaced. However, not without his posse of security guards and bodyguards around him. When we asked him why was he not wanting to answer or even face the media, he did not say a thing. In fact, very unlike a senior military officer, he actually fled from this passage using the muscle power of his guards, pushing the cameras of Times Now around.
When politicians looted India while refusing to spare even war widows.
It's not just Ashok Chavan who has some serious explaining to do. We tried to pose some direct, tough questions to former Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Mr. Vilas Rao Deshmukh, but he remained completely evasive. Questions like, why did Vilas Rao Deshmukh have to recommend a flat for General Deepak Kapoor?
Hello, Shankar. Yeah. Sir, Times Now. No, you can't come home. Yeah? You have to go. You can't come home. So I just want to quick reaction. Okay. You can't come home. Okay, sir. Okay.
The Adarsh scam expose would serve as a reminder to the political class on the need for propriety.
I am not familiar with all the facts of this case. I have seen the newspapers. When I go back, I will find out the facts. It's only then I can meaningfully comment.
I have said that I have given the facts to you, and I am also here. I'm here that the resignation is also here. So I leave it to you to take a final view and see that the matter is settled as the earliest.
Will your presence, there's been so much negative publicity.
By Times Now.
By everybody.
By Times Now, not anybody. By your channel, not anybody.
But will it hurt your prospects?
I don't think. There's not an issue in Maharashtra on this issue.
Not others.
Times Now only.
Where can I find 8 Peel Road? That's you. Mr. Ashish Patel, can I?
Just go and go. He'll be there.
Fearless reporting in India most often runs into politicians.
Mr. Ashish Patel? And where can I meet him? According to this internal note prepared by the Indian High Commission here in UK, AM Films UK Limited received 2 large installments of money totaling £2,500,000. Not only this money, which came in October of 2009, since that month, £25,000 every month is being deposited into this account. Money coming from the organizing committee of the Commonwealth Games.
I think everybody has seen on one TV channel saying that there is a transfer of money. There was no payment of $25,000 made after 30th of October 2009. There is no money laundering. Now the Arnab was saying money laundering. I am telling you, you use the word money laundering. I have replied that.
Journalists face threats.
Headlines in Times Now is about the money trail story. Every minute is money trail story. Thinking of legal action, including defamation, on Times Now.
And intimidation has today become a part of the job profile.
Indian High Commission in London has clearly denied that they have not recommended the name of AM Films. So can we know who is lying?
There is no question of lying. You must be from Times Now. Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
But for the last decade, Times Now's investigations have rattled many, including Suresh Kalmadi. CWG scam would shake the UPA government at the centre.
Should the Congress party have done this a long time back? They suspended Mr. Kalmadi today.
The man is under arrest. He is under custodial interrogation. Nobody in this world says he's guilty.
Right.
Nobody says he's innocent. Today the process
So why have you suspended him?
Suresh Kalmadi is the beginning of the investigation. And everybody else will be brought to book. You cannot bring Suresh Kalmadi to book and bring
on a lighter note,
else.
it has taken 9 months to come to the beginning. That's a slightly long time.
The fight to ensure propriety in public life began a decade ago. In March 2006, the Office of Profit would be the first expose that would question parliamentarians holding Office of Profit. This would be the first expose that would question parliamentarians holding the Office of Profit. What happened next would set a new bar when seeking accountability.
On the 6th of March, we break a story on Jaya Bachchan.
I don't know how this news has been leaked out to the press.
In 17 days, it consumes its first political victim, perhaps the most important politician in the country today.
I have done this because I think it is the right thing to do.
That's a testament of Times Now's commitment to good quality journalism.
This is Jantar Mantar, and this is where it all started, the Anna agitation. I was here manning one of the camera positions for close to 7 hours at a stretch day after day. But we weren't fatigued or tired. The atmosphere here was so positive and so infectious that some of my colleagues went back home, changed, and came back to this spot with their family members just to be part of this moment.
The revolution to fight corruption through a strong legislation began half a decade ago.
600 करोड़ जो डील ट्रिपल का विदेश में देना हमारे हिंदुस्तान में आना चाहिए.
A group led by Anna Hazare had inspired a billion with their movement in the heart of the national capital.
You can see the enthusiasm and the spirit. It has not been deterred by any sort of warnings and actions by the police.
हर राज्यों में ये आंदोलन जारी रखना है. देश के लिए हम मरने के लिए तैयार हैं.
It all started at around 7:30 when a single person came here wearing an Anna Hazare t-shirt.
He has in fact been arrested from where he was staying in Mayur Vihar.
These passing hours, the number just keeps on increasing. These are students of Delhi University.
This is just yet another example of supporters peacefully trying to protest who are being taken in by the Delhi police.
demands of every nature are already in place and they're ready to continue this battle for as long as it may take.
After Anna Hazare being sent to judicial custody and now in Tihar jail, these are pro-Anna supporters who have gathered here.
We will be here till the time Anna is not going to come out from the jail.
We want Anna Hazare to come out of the jail and see the kind of support he's getting.
अभी तो युद्ध के मैदान में एंट्री हुई है, अभी तो आगे सारी लड़ाई बाकी है.
मशाल जलती रहेगी.
They would go on to become household names, some icons, most politicians today.
The entire nation has decided to speak in one voice.
I'm going to remind the government who the real rulers are.
गवर्नमेंट ने जो बातें मान ली है उससे मुझे लगता है कि पूरे भारत की जनता की जीत हुई है.
The gang rape and brutal torture of a young student has shocked and outraged everyone in the nation. Student organizations are now carrying out protests outside the police station.
In this particular country, women have no safety.
I can feel कि वो इसी रूट पे चिल्ला रही होगी, रो रही होगी. वो हैवानियत, वो दरिंदे उसे नोच रहे होंगे, दबोच रहे होंगे. उस दिन पुलिस कहाँ थी?
Why are protesters facing the wrath of the police more than the rapists themselves? Who's become insecure about the spontaneous protests nationwide against rape?
December 2012, Nirbhay gang rape case provoked massive, unprecedented protests across the national capital. And I remember reporting here live from the Rail Bhavan in central Delhi, which was completely barricaded, while hundreds and thousands of protesters wanted to rush to the president's house and jump barricades.
Me and Pooja Chali were reporting from Rail Bhavan when suddenly police started targeting media and protesters armed with the batons.
मैं रायसीना हिल्स के ऊपर अपने कैमरे के साथ था, जहां से इंडिया गेट बिल्कुल साफ नजर आ रहा था. विश्वास जानिए, इतनी भीड़ मैंने अपनी पूरी जिंदगी में यहां कभी नहीं देखी थी.
And while we were giving those live visuals, which were being broadcast on Times Now across the world, I and my video journalists became the first victims when we got caught amidst the confrontation between the Delhi police, the CRPF and those hundreds of protesters angry over this very gruesome case. जिसके लिए हम लड़ रहे हैं उस घर के लिए, वो जो आदमी लोग हैं वो हमसे लड़ने के अंदर नहीं जा रहे विदाउट परमिशन. हमारे साथ इतनी बड़ी चीज हुई है, हमें परमिशन किस चीज की चाहिए? हमें इनसे लड़ना है.
We are at Vijay Chowk and you can see that after use of heavy force in which the police used water cannon, they're really angry after this kind of force which was used on them.
Really upset with the kind of response the government is giving. We are here for justice for a girl.
What you can hear behind me is the sound of tear gas shells exploding.
Tear gas shells can lob against students and children. We are at the epicenter of all the activity right here in the heart of Delhi.
They have been fighting for justice for the 23-year-old victim who is still recuperating in the hospital, and they have been asking the police not to use force on them.
High time that the government actually makes strict laws regarding all these offences. We can't wait for such incidents to happen for an amendment in law to take place. It's a murder. It's a real big murder.
The culprit should be given the capital punishment.
अस्पताल में थी तब तक ने देखा नहीं. ये बदतमीजी की हद है.
These kind of images are continuing across the national capital. Raisina Hill, Vijay Chowk as well as India Gate now is completely out of bounds for people who have been wanting to protest.
I personally feel very, very ashamed that I'm sitting in this house and I'm helpless. This is not fair, sir.
हम चुप नहीं बैठेंगे. एक आंख कटा जाएगा. फांसी तो बड़ी छोटी सजा है.
As you can see here today at the Safdarjung Hospital in New Delhi, the mood is very different as compared to the protests that we've seen over the last few days where we saw anger and outrage. Today, everyone here is sitting in silent protest and in silent support for the victim who continues to battle for her life inside this hospital.
The authorities who rule our country feel these protests are a one-day affair, two-day affair. They will end. The media will report the story for 2 days. The system will continue. Pass the law which is waiting since 2006. If you don't pass the law pending since 2006, you will face tougher questions.
July 2011, I still remember vividly that evening where we were just winding up work after our sports bulletin and a news bulletin around 7:38 in the evening when there was talk about a blast also at Kabutar Khana, very close to this Hanuman Mandir bus stop.
Where the blast happened, right outside a high school, just about a stone's throw away from the actual Kabutar Khana, the Hanuman Mandir area.
When I arrived, this entire area was cordoned. From this tree onwards, using that mark, the police had cordoned off this entire area. There was a huge crowd around this place.
Just at the time of the explosion, there was a grey scene that was passing by. That bore the brunt of that blast.
One of the eyewitnesses who refused to come on camera but told me that nobody is dead.
There were 4 or 5 people who were injured, no casualties here.
The bomb was not inside the car, which was lying in shatters right in the middle of the road. He said it was on top of the bus stop. The Kabutar Khana blast did shock people because this is supposed to be a very, very communally peaceful area, very, very residential, and it's a thoroughfare in the evenings here. This Dada Titi area, this entire Hanuman Mandir area and the Kabutar Khana. But luckily on that day, it was a car that bore the brunt and there was nobody standing at the bus stop.
This is near the jewellery market here in Mumbai town. What we come to know till now is that about 20 people have been injured in the blast.
That I came here at this place, all the dead bodies are lying here. The police have cordoned off the area and there are lots of people like they are asking for help. The barricades are there, we are not supposed to come on this side. Like this condition we have reported the whole night.
कितने लोगों को आपने यहाँ से बाहर निकाला है?
कम से कम 25-30 आदमी, 4 से 5 मर गए.
A few months after 26/11, it was clear that the strike was plotted by Pakistan. For a nation that was in denial on terrorists being its own, this attack on the Sri Lankan cricket team in the heart of Lahore would force the world to take a stand and confront Islamabad.
देखिए जो भी श्रीलंका टीम के साथ हुआ बहुत बुरा है, सबको बहुत ज़्यादा अफसोस है, इसलिए कि वो टीम ऐसी थी कि हम लोगों ने पूरी सिक्योरिटी गवर्नमेंट ने दी थी कि इंशाल्लाह सिक्योर होंगे, लेकिन हो नहीं सका.
The biggest earthquake to hit Japan. The mayhem that followed after a jolt that measured 8.4 on the Richter scale saw nearly 20,000 perish. It would also go on to become the costliest natural disaster in world history. The memories left behind haunt many to date.
It was 2009, we were stationed in Jerusalem when we heard about the ongoing conflict between Hamas and the Israelis in the Israel-controlled half of that particular area. Here on the Israel-Gaza border, we can see some Israeli tanks still lined up, perhaps waiting to cross over into the Gaza Strip. That's when we got caught in the crossfire between the Hamas and the Israelis. The Hamas made indigenous rockets called Qassams, landed right next to our camera crews, and we were caught in the middle of that. Another rocket hit here in Shadod. This has been going on since early morning today. A Hamas rocket bombarding this region, which is very close to the Gaza Strip. And behind me is a whole posse of media persons in front of this old age home that was struck by a Katyusha rocket just hours back. At least 6 rockets have struck this border town from across in South Lebanon. Now it's not clear whether these rockets were struck by Hezbollah or by the Palestinian factions. And within days, the Israelis had escalated that into a full-scale conflict called Operation Cast Lead, and we were also reporting on that particular event as well. Another rocket hit here in Shadod. This has been going on since early morning today. A Hamas rocket bombarding this region, which is very close to the Gaza Strip. Now, this is the reason why the Israeli offensive has been going on for over 8 days. They want to end these rocket strikes. They want to obliterate all the sites from where the Hamas can launch its rockets.
A 12-hour flight between Amsterdam and Kuala Lumpur for the 300 on-board Malaysian Airlines Flight 17. It would be their last.
This was the Flight 17, a Boeing 777 going from the Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur with 298 passengers on board. And across this field, which is about a 10-12 kilometer radius of this area, you can see there are pieces of this aircraft, big and small, pieces of the aircraft parts, pieces of clothing, pieces of shoes, human remains, and a lot of the cargo which was part of the entire aircraft, which is now under investigation by the international body OCSE.
Shot down mid-air during the Russian intervention in Ukraine by pro-Kremlin separatists. Times now travelled to separatist-held Ukraine as the world focused on MH17.
This is the conflict zone of the Ukrainian separatists as well as the Ukrainian government, and in this part, in this very area was where the aircraft was shot at and blown apart. And now the investigation, which is being a very difficult part, the crucial evidence being not able to be gathered by the investigating authorities, it remains to be seen that how the international community rallies and finds evidence and then nails the culprits responsible for this gory killing.
We are currently at the Mangalore airport, where Air India Express flight Boeing 737-800 landed and then crashed into a valley 7 kilometers from here.
One of the deadliest aviation disasters in the country. The Mangalore air crash was a wake-up call for the Indian air industry.
After the tragic air crash at Mangalore, we are on board the relief aircraft, which is now going towards Mangalore with all the supplies and the trauma care specialists, doctors and a team of Air India staff.
The second time a plane overshot the runway at this airport.
The main memory is in this. What is it called? What is it called? Digital DFDR. This is intact. Digital flight data record.
So this is intact.
Yes. Yes.
Is it damaged or is it intact?
It's intact.
At close to about 9:55 this morning, the black box was retrieved from this particular crash site. If I can just show you the area from where this was recovered, there is a yellow portion, a yellow bag. If my camera person can zoom into that, that is from where the black box was recovered.
158 lives were lost. Only 8 survived. Times Now reported their story.
The country can't afford to have more bloodshed and no communal riots.
He was one of the most influential political voices in India.
So if you are not in a position to give a judgment either on the parliament floor or in the judiciary, this is the best via media. Get rid of it.
As news of Bala Saheb's death was broken by his Dr. Jaleel Parkar this evening, thousands of Shiv Sainiks started towards Matoshri. They've been pouring in at Matoshri.
Over 1 million mourners came together.
People very quiet, a somber mood, and what we also know that all are preparing. The police is starting to prepare for the final rites.
Bala Saheb's body will be kept for final respects at Shivaji Park. The procession is to start from here at Matoshri at 7 a.m. in the morning. Between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. the body will be kept at Shivaji Park, after which the cremation will be performed at Shiv Tirth.
Tiger was magnificent in his roar.
This is the tiger pug marks leaving the drawing board. It's a cartoonist tribute to another cartoonist.
First and foremost, Arno, it is a great loss, and I need to compliment you and your channel for the way in which you are showing the human qualities of Bala Saheb. Therefore, political leaders' abilities are there, but the human qualities are equally important.
Times now was witness as a sea of humanity gathered to bid goodbye.
My father taught me, keep the hands clean. ब्रह्मदेव का बाप भी नीचे आएगा तो डरने की बात नहीं है, डरो मत. And name is more important. बाजार में पैसा आएगा जाएगा, पैसा आएगा, नाम जाएगा तो फिर नहीं आएगा.
"32 years and counting, the over 20,000 victims of the Bhopal gas tragedy have waited for justice. Corporate negligence led to the tragedy. Political mischief ensured Warren Anderson got away. Nearly 26 years later, we tracked him down."
As we tracked down Warren Anderson in Bridgehampton, what was striking was a huge contrast between where he lived in relative anonymity to the horrors of the Bhopal gas tragedy.
Nothing to say. There's nothing to say. It's all recorded. We just, there's so much pressure coming down.
While he would not come out and face Times Now's cameras, we managed to speak briefly to his wife, Lillian Anderson, and she told us that he was in ailing health.
We asked if we could just have a very quick word with him and were told that there was nothing left to say. Lillian actually told us this twice, at one point waving her hand at us. And she also said that everything that needed to be sorted out had been sorted out.
Not only had he not managed to answer questions from various reporters, including Times Now, but also there was a sense that he had evaded justice, especially when it comes to one of the worst gas disasters in the history of India. As one lawyer in India put it, he was an absconder, and he remained so when he died.
Embattled interim head of the Labour Party in the United Kingdom, Keith Vaz, could now be in more trouble. Keith Vaz, who is very close to the former IPL commissioner Lalit Modi, has made some huge, sensational and startling claims.
You're writing to Lalit Modi saying you've spoken to Sushma Swaraj about Lalit Modi's travel documents.
We are getting these confirmed reports that Sushma Modi, as last as October 2014, which is after she became the External Affairs Minister, after the mail that was sent from Times Now, we are understanding that she had spoken and met Prime Minister Narendra Modi and also offered to resign.
Ma'am, are you keen? Is there a resignation happening? Can you just tell us something, ma'am? Ma'am, just one statement about your resignation possibly, or this Lalit Modi issue. Would you like to tell us?
Once we broke the Lalit Gate story, it was critical that we get Vasundhara Raje's point of view, and for that we were in Jaipur. The Times Now team was there. We went to her house, we went to the Chief Minister's office as well, but throughout, the Rajasthan Chief Minister refused to answer any of the specific questions that Times Now was posing to her.
Ma'am, did you write a letter of support for Lalit Modi?
Mr. Raje, there are charges against you.
So we went inside the secretariat, we tried to speak to her. The only problem was that once we were inside, they refused to let us out.
Exactly was the response of Vasundhara Raje. Of course, security personnel are trying to not allow you out of the secretariat at this point in time. But the cops are still not allowing us to stand here. It's almost a commotion out here. The police is not allowing us to stand here.
मेरा भी एक इशू आया है जिसमें आपका भी नाम इन्होंने ड्रैग किया है। आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
Of course I know the family. I've always known. I've never made any bones about that. But I don't know what documents you people are talking about.
First reaction coming in from Vasundhara Raje, who denies having any knowledge of signing or giving any statement in favor of the fugitive Lalit Modi.
It's been one of India's biggest mysteries. Who wanted a massive consignment of arms dropped in Purulia in 1995? What was the purpose of these arms? Until this exclusive investigation, India had few answers.
Peter Bleach, the British citizen who was piloting that airplane which dropped the deadly cargo of weapons along the Bihar-Bengal border, had undergone imprisonment in West Bengal. He was settled back in England.
You told me when we spoke that you left in a member of parliament's in the back seat of an MP's car surrounded by Indian security men. Name the member of parliament.
Right. At Papu Yadav's home, Mr. J.K. Dodd arrived and arranged for the transport by train that evening.
What Kim Devi has said is absolutely false. I deny this thing completely.
Mr. Dutt, you knew about this beforehand. What MI5 reported to you was not news. You were in on this from the very beginning.
Kim Devi is still a wanted man in India. Repeated attempts to get him extradited have not succeeded. There is a chain and a lock. Clearly his business in this office has shut down.
जब हमें बस्तावड़े स्टोरी के बारे में बताया गया तो सबसे पहले हमें ये बताया गया था कि हमें अपनी आइडेंटिटी छुपानी है वहाँ शूट करने के लिए। हमें एज ए जर्नलिस्ट नहीं जाना है, हमें एज ए टूरिस्ट बन के जाना है वहाँ पे। वहाँ पर एक पर्टिकुलर होटल था जिस होटल में बस्तावड़े हमेशा आता था स्विमिंग करने के लिए। वी मेड श्योर कि हम वहाँ पहुँचने के बाद सबसे पहले तो हमारा प्रायोरिटी ये था कि हमें वही रूम मिलना चाहिए था जहाँ से स्विमिंग पूल दिख रहा हो, जहाँ से हम उसको प्रॉपरली शूट कर सके। द मिनट ही केम फ्रॉम दैट मिनट टिल ही वेंट आउट फ्रॉम दैट होटल in the span of some 15-20 minutes. उसका हर एक मूवमेंट मैंने कैप्चर किया। हमेशा प्रोफेशनल कैमरा हाथ में लेके शूट करना एक अलग बात होती है और एक हैंडीकैम ले जाके एज ए टूरिस्ट बन के अपना जर्नलिस्ट का काम करके आना, ये बहुत एक्साइटिंग और चैलेंजिंग जॉब रहा मेरे लिए।
The pictures were speaking the entire story. There was no need of a script, there was no need of a voice. If we could reach there, why couldn't the Indian agencies? Perhaps as a logical conclusion to the story, Indian agencies did act. The Enforcement Directorate sent a team there. Adil Adinath Bastawde was arrested by the Indonesian police. He was handed over to the Enforcement Directorate officials. He was brought from Jakarta to Delhi, from Delhi to Ranchi, where he was sent to the jail.
He was arrested after your channel revealed his location.
Do you have anything to say in your defense, Anil? Anil?
In the last decade, one Indian channel has pursued newsmakers to push the boundaries of reporting.
Are you in touch?
To ask the questions others wouldn't dare to.
Do you trust the Nepali system of justice?
In the most challenging circumstances, it's a team that wouldn't take no for an answer.
What's your India connection now? Do you plan to ever come back to India? What was your stay in India like?
After some time, yes, I will love, because I love India, no? My heart. Yeah. And still I have 3 of my sisters there. Yeah.
Are you nervous? Are you worried?
Well, in Nepal, you cannot believe anything until it happens. That's well known, I believe.
Do you trust the Nepali system of justice?
Well, let's say we'll discuss about that later on. Not now.
This is small comment. Will there be a new pro-panel? Will you be in the meeting as the BCCI chief?
Would you allow me to go to my car?
So, will you be the BCCI chief in the meeting?
I'm just a small guy. I'm entitled to, I'm entitled to go. No, I'm entitled to.
Someone like please, sir. Someone like Will you attend the meeting as the BCCI chief?
Please.
Will you attend the meeting as the BCCI chief?
Allow me to go. No, please.
Give me the way. Will you attend the meeting as the BCCI chief? Please, साथ ले जा रहे हैं. आप ऐसे मत कीजिए. सर हैं. ऐसा मत करिए मीडिया को. आराम से.
I got hit by this camera. I'm not doing it.
अरे दूर रहो ऐसे मत.
Sorry. You cannot hit. You cannot hit me with a camera.
We have been waiting for you, sir. But please. दो शब्द अगर आप कहेंगे.
It is not okay with me.
Sham Rai, the driver of Indrani Mukherjee, was in possession of a revolver. The cops picked him for possessing the firearm, but were completely clueless and ignorant of what was going to be revealed before them. It was only during the questioning that the driver broke down and admitted to the crime, saying that he had killed Sheena Bora at the behest of Indrani Mukherjee. After corroborating this piece of information with the Raigad police about the body being dumped in the jungles there, the Mumbai police finally decided to confront the wife of Peter Mukherjee, Indrani Mukherjee, and then finally arrest her.
7 years after the Arushi murder, a second case of murder that involved families and those connected with who's who in the high society.
I have been framed.
India would follow the Sheena murder probe.
Rahul, why did you speak up, Rahul? Your girlfriend was missing for 3 years, Rahul.
But all we know right now is we are outside the CBI office here in Mumbai, in South Mumbai, and we spoke to some of the officials here who said that Peter Mukherjee has been arrested. But what is also interesting is that along with Peter Mukherjee, inside this particular office is also Rahul Mukherjee, his son.
The whole country was talking about this case, but the Mumbai police only believed that it was only one thing which led to what happened, which is a word, four-letter word called love.
As Times now exposed the loopholes and the complicity in a case that involved some very powerful people and a lot of money.
Those banks have also been requested to share account details of Peter Mukherjee specifically since 2010 onwards. This is the 5 years bracket. That's what Mumbai police is looking at as far as the entire financial trail is concerned. Also, the second focus of interrogators is on the money exchange between Indrani Mukherjee and Sanjeev Khanna.
His deepest secret is now at the heart of a murder mystery that has rocked the entire nation. Sir, everyone is looking for a person called Siddharth Das. Are you that person?
Yeah, of course I am that person.
What's your name?
My name is Siddharth Das.
Are you the father of Sheena Bora?
Yeah, that's right. I'm the father.
Police station, something extremely dramatic that happened some 5 minutes ago. A person walked in right next to us, right here, and while most of us were busy with our live telecast and all, somebody just walked in, and a few of the reporters who were sitting close to the police station, they claim that they have recognized the person. It is Siddhartha who has just walked in.
The Indrani Mukherjee case was physically and mentally taxing, as all of us had to work for 16 to 18 hours for more than 3 weeks without any break. Not just that, getting the charge sheet was also a very big task. We had to chase lawyers and other sources for more than 3-4 days together before becoming the first channel to get the charge sheet.
मिनिस्टरों का कलेक्टर देखो, फिर मिनिस्ट्री में बनाओ, मस्त और गुंडों का आप ही सब बेटियां सब नीलाम हो जाएंगी।
इस तरह की बातें वो कर रहे हैं, बहकी वो एक अंदर का गुबार है।
आपकी जगह कोई और अगर होता तो अभी तक दिल्ली पुलिस ने उसको जाके अरेस्ट कर लिया होता।
मैं कहना चाहता हूँ हरियाणा सरकार भ्रष्ट है, जो भी आवाज उठाती है उनके खिलाफ जो भी आवाज उठाता है उसे अरेस्ट किया जाता है।
Everything, we have given everything to media and police. अब हम we are waiting for who will respond us first, who will get the justice for us.
The Labour Minister of Haryana would. Not only does he dismiss the role of his former colleague Gopal Goyal Kanda in the Geetika suicide case, he goes on to demean the young girl as a servant. What is the source of your super arrogance, Mr. Minister? 6 months ago, the 23-year-old committed suicide alleging harassment from her boss and Haryana politician Gopal Goel Kanda. Today, Geetika's mother, Anuradha Sharma, was found hanging at the family residence.
The Delhi police have said that they have recovered a suicide note written by Geetika's mother, Anuradha, in which she has blamed the former Haryana minister Gopal Goel Kanda and his close aide Aruna Chadha for the suicide.
Whenever she get little hurt ना, मेरा दिल ऐसे धड़कता था. उसने अपने आप को टांगा है पंखे पे. मैं चाहता हूँ उस गोपाल गोयल कांडा को भी ऐसे टांगा जाए ताकि आने वाली पीढ़ियों की बेटियां बचें.
It was a tense standoff that went for weeks. The judiciary wanted a self-styled godman, Rampal, to surrender. His supporters virtually laid a siege outside his ashram in Hisar.
जब तक हमारे जान है, हमारे जीते जी संत रामपाल जी महाराज तक वो बिल्कुल भी नहीं पहुंच सकते.
Here at the Satlok ashram of Sant Rampal, his supporters and his security staff is also preparing to take on the Haryana police.
Well, the police have surrounded the ashram of Sant Rampal here in Barwala. There is firing happening from either side. The police first fired tear gas shells at the ashram and the supporters who have been surrounding the ashram.
The final assault took place in the morning. Hundreds of paramilitary forces, state police personnel virtually surrounded the ashram, and then the assault took place.
नहीं ओपी पे कुछ नहीं होता यार ओपी बहुत दूर है.
Instead of targeting his supporters, the police decided to target the media personnel who were present there.
In fact, it's a media personnel. मीडिया को मार रहा है.
I was attacked along with my video journalist Imtiaz and also live view engineer Prakash. We were beaten up and virtually made to leave that place. In my journey of close to 8 years as video journalist with Times Now, I have been part of many coverages. But what I distinctly remember is the police's crackdown on the Satlok ashram at Barwala. The police, which was initially supposed to take charge of the Satlok ashram, instead of doing that, they started attacking the media.
12 hours after Rampal was arrested, the rescue work still continues at his ashram. In fact, there are at least 3,000 followers still inside.
बाबा आप अपने आप को गॉड कहते हैं, संत कहते हैं, आपके ऊपर इतने इल्जाम है. सर आपके ऊपर इतने इल्जाम झूठे कैसे हैं आपके ऊपर? आपके गुंडे इतने खड़े थे वहाँ पे, हजारों आदमी हरियाणा पुलिस से, मेरे नीचे राष्ट्रीय समाज सेवा समिति जितने लोग आपके आश्रम से निकले हैं वो सब कह रहे हैं कि उन्होंने आपको आपके लोगों ने उनको बंदी बनाया हुआ था. You are a godman or a conman?
This is Kilinochchi in northern Sri Lanka. Once, this was Tiger territory, the headquarters of the LTTE. Now it has been captured by the Sri Lankan army. And all you have around here are weapons that were captured from the LTTE. Brigadier General Shavendra Silva, 58th Division Commander. Where is Prabhakaran right now?
According to the information what we received, Prabhakaran is within the civilians in the balanced part of the no-fire zone. It has been a practice where they have taken civilian forcefully. So the cadres that they have at this moment at 1000 hours in the morning today can be varied, and they can take any amount of civilians to be the LTT cadres since they are controlling the civilians at the moment. My aim is to accomplish the mission given to me. In that, I have been told that I should not allow any casualties to civilians.
This is the place where the LTTE and the Sri Lankan army fought very bitterly just a few days ago. You can see it all here. You can see the bullet holes, you can see the shell holes, and you can see the traces of fighting in the streets. Just a few minutes ago, you saw the casualties of war. Elderly men, women, little children, many of them crying, all of them stumbling towards a truck
trying to reach safety. This is much closer to the front. The soldiers are very close by. Some of them are right behind me. Some of them are waiting to go to the front. This is where the reality begins. Sir, why can't we go further than this place? And he only made 2 points. He said, there are minefields in this area which have not been cleared, and they were set by the LTTE. And there are still mortars falling. It's far too dangerous to allow civilians.
These are the barricades which block and which divide the territory right now. You can see the military men over there. That area is completely dominated by the pro-Mubarak area, pro-Mubarak supporters and demonstrators. You can see the tanks and the military men on that side. Those are the pro-Mubarak supporters over there on this side.
2011 was the year of the Arab upheaval, or the Arab Spring as we come to know of it now. Egyptian police and the military were completely positioned at the Tahrir Square where we were reporting live from.
This is the protest against Hosni Mubarak. He's announced that he would want to go out in September or rather autumn. But the people over here want him out right now.
The protesters wanting to get rid of Hosni Mubarak had a tough time. We were reporting from the areas which were under heavy crossfire between the Mubarak supporters and the protesters.
This is the epicenter of the clashes between the pro-Mubarak and the anti-Mubarak supporters. In fact, if I can show you, far beyond there is the Tahrir Square, where all the 2 weeks rather, the anti-government protesters have been congregating. You can see the stones over here. These were the stones which were used for the clashes yesterday, exactly like this. These are the tanks behind me, these are the stones, and now we are on the verge of entering the Tahrir Square. This is exactly where those clashes broke out yesterday, and we are in the middle of Tahrir Square.
The Egyptian military and the police had clamped down on all connectivity. We were using cell phones to send our dispatches back to India. We were also detained by the military and asked whether we were spies and what connections we had with the Israelis.
We were taken inside the military headquarters, and once inside, we were taken to a small dingy room where both of us were made to stand in a corner. They started with searching everything we had on person. They looked at our wallets, they looked at our pockets, they asked us to remove our shoes and every document on our hand.
We continued our coverage. We were actually then moved on to Libya, from where we reported how the civil war has impacted the country.
This is the epicenter of their revolution over here. This is more like what it was to Tahrir Square in Cairo. You can see the tents which have been made around over here. These tents are vigilant people, local militia who is trying to keep a watch. They are talking about freedom. These are one of the many army men who have defected to the protesters. They are here roaming around as militia, defending the country from Gaddafi's forces, and clearly they want Gaddafi out. They're part of the military earlier, but now they have defected into the protesters. They're saying that they want to protect the people, they want to be with the people and not with a dictator and not with a tyrant.
This is one of the main camps of Indians living here in Benghazi. You can see they have been put up here before they can be taken inside the seaport and then from there to Egypt. The Indian embassy is working and trying to make sure that these people are taken out from this particular area very soon. 57 of them all over here at the border waiting to get inside Egypt, and from there they will go to Cairo and a flight to Mumbai. That all has been arranged by the government of India, and more passengers, more people, more Indians evacuated from the land border will continue pouring in from this very border. And Times Now is the only crew right here at the border of Libya and Egypt. Kashif Khusro with Nitin Fartare at the Libya border.
We are actually moving towards a place called Murliganj, where several people, in fact thousands of them, have been stranded for the last 15 days without anything to eat or drink.
बस सर्विस खाने पीने का वास कभी कभी चूरा तुरा सत्तू यही सब खाते नहीं मिलता, वैसे पड़े रहते पानी पीने को।
हालत तो बहुत गंभीर था, हम लोगों को पूरा खाना नहीं मिल रहा था और हम लोगों के पास आदमी कोई नहीं था और उस बस्ती में जो है ना सब कहता था आ जाएगा अन्ना, जब तक मैं आता था तब तक में हम लोग आते तो घूर के लौट के चले जाते हैं।
For the last 15 days, these people have been struggling to stay alive. Some of them tell me that they tried forcing salt down the throat just to ensure that they can survive. After a journey of 15 kilometers through the flood waters, we have finally reached the Murliganj village, and as you can see, hundreds of villagers here anxiously waiting for food. They're trying to lay their hands on whatever they can, snatch it and run away. These people are hungry for days together, waiting for someone to come and help them out.
अंदर बहुत पानी पड़ा, हम लोग यहाँ बहुत दिक्कत में रह रहे हैं मैडम।
कितने घर है अंदर?
अंदर बहुत सारे 2000-5000 रुपया घर है यहाँ पे।
दिन से बाहर में रहता है, Around 15 people in these villages, in these interiors, have actually died waiting for the want of food.
At this moment, there are 20,000 people to 25,000 people who are still stranded in different areas of the upper reaches of Uttarakhand.
We are at the site of a fresh landslide which has happened here in Devprag.
We are here at Venagoli, about 20 kilometers from Badrinath, where a rescue operation has started just today.
They owe their lives to the Indian Armed Forces. They are saying that the Army, the Air Force has brought them here.
We are in the middle of the Bhagirathi river is flowing below us. It's extremely dangerous to cross from one side of the village to another side.
This is the final journey for people walking from Badrinath towards Joshimath. You can see this treacherous route which young women, children and the old alike are taking.
At least 1,500 people have been rescued. 2,000 are still trapped in Harsil, Gangotri and also in Patwar.
Thick cloud cover and rains completely hampering rescue operations.
30 लोग और हमारे ऊपर, क्या मालूम तो बह गए या क्या मालूम यहाँ है, हमें कोई पता नहीं।
Choppers belonging to both the Army as well as the Air Force have brought back thousands of stranded people to safety.
The Mandir of Kedarnath, dead bodies everywhere. We are right inside the temple now. Everything more or less has been destroyed. 9 to 10 feet of silt, that is what we are walking on now.
आसिफ भाई मुझे वन बल, आसिफ भाई की मम्मा वन बल में, ठीक है। मुदस्सिर भाई पूछ के सो रहा।
पापा को एक सेकंड बोलो इधर। आइबुप्रोफेन है मेरे पास, पैरासिटामोल, आइबुप्रोफेन, इन्फेक्शन का है ये लो।
We are going through the lanes of Rajbagh. It's one of the poshest areas of Srinagar, but these houses now like ghost mansions, completely abandoned, some of them under construction, some of them completed Pakka houses. The roads are completely submerged, so they are almost unrecognizable. These are familiar landmarks, areas where you grew up, where you served, the former IG of Kashmir. You've seen disasters.
Dr. Saab! फारूक साहब आए, फारूक साहब आए।
Hurriyat Conference Office, Mirwais Umar Farooq, this is where he is headquartered. A pertinent question which a lot of citizens here are asking, where are the people who
came to speak for the Kashmiris, who came to speak for the rights and the lives of the Kashmiris in this tragic time. If there are any rescue operations, like this gentleman himself said, the only color that can be seen most widely across this entire area leading the rescue operations is the olive green of the army. With video journalist Sajjad in Rajbagh, Padmaja Joshi, Times Now.
The first time this plane tried to land, the weather was so incredibly bad.
एक लोग को डेथ होगा, इसको ग्रैंड मदर.
Times Now is the first international media to have come up to Darbar, the heritage site built in the year 1667 by Ram Sahai.
$17 helicopters to the remote areas of Nepal.
Every body retrieved takes several hours because it's a time-consuming process, a very complicated process. Vehicles, large and small, an entire family cooped up inside. आप कितने दिनों से यहाँ पर रह रहे हैं और क्यों?
3 दिनों से. 72 घंटा हो गया.
In fact, a makeshift kitchen also has been formed inside where they are cooking. Not entirely a very safe exercise, but they.
I am at the Murad Gate ground here in the Sundara area, and if you can just see, this is an entire huge area with tents erected, and all these people whom you can see in the frames, they are mostly Indians, and still they are waiting for some sort of directions to come in from the authorities as to how they should leave from here and how they can go back. In fact, many of them say that the buses are not operational, so they can't even take the road route to Sonali border across Uttar Pradesh. They also are not aware of the flight schedules. No one, no assistance as such has come to them, and all these people are just sitting here in this anticipation that probably after their story and their faces are aired on Times Now, probably the authority would realize that thousands of Indians, basically from the working class Indians, they are still stranded here.
This is the Khardana village of district Harda. As you can see that from the past 15 days, these oustees of Indira Sagar Dam are protesting in the neck deep water from the past 15 days, and now yesterday the district administration has imposed section 144 here.
आप लोगों के स्वास्थ्य को ध्यान में रखते हुए जो आप लोग पिछले 8-15 दिन है आप लोग लगातार पानी में यहाँ पे बने हुए हैं, प्रतिबंधित क्षेत्र में एक साथ 4 या 4 से अधिक व्यक्ति का समूह एक साथ एकत्रित होकर सार्वजनिक स्थानों पर नहीं घूमेंगे.
We are asking that the demand should be met right now, so that before people are allotted their fresh lands, their original lands are not submerged and people don't have to starve. That's the reason why we are sitting.
तुम्ही जावा ना.
To 30 people stranded on the 6th floor of Mantralay. The fire has in fact spread to the 6th floor. We'll try and show you that in a little while. The fire which had started on the 4th floor has now shifted.
fifth and sixth floor is the exact floor where most of the secretaries and Mantralaya employees are stranded.
That's the sixth floor where the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Mr. Prithviraj Chavan, sits.
हवा पीछे चल रही है, तो पीछे के विंग में रियल जो आग है, यहाँ 10% है, पीछे 90%.
This is the first chopper that has arrived on the scene. It's a naval chopper.
Navy helicopters are airborne to save them. They will send ropes.
What should they do?
They should move towards the helicopter on the terrace.
Worrying signs continue. If the camera can pan onto that area, you can see the kind of smoke which is arising from the Mantralaya. There are those floors out there, the fifth floor particularly out there. The fire is still raging right here behind me on the sixth floor, the fifth floor, the fourth floor. Virtually all of the ministers, all of those compartments reduced to nothing but charred remains of the files, the papers which used to once remain inside this fortress.
Pakistan seems to have adopted a new strategy of using subterranean route to transport terror into this side of the border. The timely detection of this tunnel by the BSF men have thwarted the ugly design of Pakistan. You can see this tunnel, which has got a diameter of around about 4.5 feet, and it is dug just about 20 feet inside the ground. I still remember the day when Terror Tunnel was discovered. We were attending a press conference, and all of a sudden I got a phone call from one of the villagers who informed me that while working in his agriculture field, he noticed that earth has caved in at 3 different points. Had it been some other place, I would have taken it lightly and given it second thought. But as the place was close to the border fence, I immediately rushed to the spot along with my video journalist Amit Bardwaj. By the time we reached here, BSF had cordoned that area. They had brought in JCB machine and they started digging ground. The whole process took about 8 to 9 hours. By the time they were able to find the opening of this tunnel, the BSF officer there on ground, he said, who is the one who is going to volunteer and go inside the tunnel? I immediately raised my hand. Before he could utter second word, I, along with Amit Bardwaj, started climbing down the stairs and went inside the tunnel, which had an opening of about 3 feet, and it was about 5 feet high. Easily the person can crawl in. That was the time when I was reminded of one of the interviews which I had conducted 2 years back. A Lashkar terrorist was apprehended, and he had informed that Pakistan is planning to construct tunnels so that they can push in terrorists into the Indian side. That time I had not taken that words of Lashkar terrorists very seriously. But after entering the tunnel, I realized that how the planning had been going on for this for the last so many years. And what is ironic and what is in fact shocking is that till date, Pakistan continues to deny that they had constructed this tunnel to push in terrorists.
The political atmosphere in India has changed dramatically in the last decade. And every time a state or the nation went to polls and during big-ticket events,
as the election season gets more exciting,
3-way high-profile contest,
Delhi getting you all the latest updates.
I will bring to you the latest moves of BJP. Election fever is on. Temperatures are running high.
we were there at the forefront of the coverage.
Welcome to the Poll of Polls show, and the big numbers are now going to come out on your screen. Still #1 trend nationally is the Poll of Polls. That's picked up the Twitter trend. It's touched #1 nationally.
Redefining how India views elections.
The fact that our Poll of Polls has got such a massive feedback from so many of you. Virtual world, we are now going to transport you out. There she's gone. NDA has swept the north.
We see over here on the big screen on Times Square that BJP got 177 seats so far.
Was the voter losing interest? Were political parties unable to sustain the excitement?
Ensuring political coverage for a new India.
For me, here at Times Now, and for my whole team, the only thing that matters is your belief in our credibility. It was the people's trust in 2010-2011 that allowed us to uncover 6 of the biggest scams in this country. That trust has kept us going. Even today, after 10 years of the first broadcast of Times Now, the one thing that keeps this incredible team going here, day after day and night after night, is the awareness that they are the custodians of the people's trust. And what a wonderful position that is to be in, that we feel that you have empowered us to be your voice, you have empowered us to carry your trust, and that also gives us a great sense of responsibility that we must never let you down. So it's mutual, and I am so grateful. If there is anything that we have earned in 10 years, if there is anything that my news editors, my producers have earned in 10 years, if there's anything that I have earned in 10 years, it is nothing but the trust of the people. And we will do everything possible to retain that trust. We will never flinch to take on anyone required in order to ensure that whatever we do, the journalism we do in the next 10 years, and the next 10 years, and the next 10 years after that, only reinforces your trust.